will actually complement your existing landscape rather than to replace it, right? Compliance, as I said, I mean, we are actually compliant with most of the global standards, so that would actually give you the confidence that yes, we do a good job in keeping your data safe and keeping your landscape safe. Capabilities we can offer, enterprise as well as open source in a seamless manner. Whatever you choose, we can actually serve that. And basically, we are transparent, right? So we are actually here to help. And if you have any more questions, concerns on how you want to do it, or you have any type of any type of apprehensions, please feel free to ask us, and we'll be more than willing to help you in your journey. We have got this cloud accelerator program, basically wherein we come and we study your existing landscapes, and we can actually guide you on how you should be moving on to the cloud. So if you're actually interested, we could also run this for you. This is basically a session where we actually assess your existing landscape and see how ready you are to move on to the cloud. What is your what percentage of your landscape can be moved in what time? What are the time frames? Whether it is a lift and shift, or whether it is like a rebuild, right? Things like that. So this is something that we can drive at your place, right? So if you're actually interested. And at the end of it, we would give you an end-to-end assessment scorecard, when we'll tell you that this is your these components of your landscapes can be moved onto the cloud in a seamless manner. This will take some more time. These are the most hard-pressed components. So this is what you should be doing in the first few months. This is what you should move, and in the next few months, maybe it is some other parts of your landscape, right? So we can actually create an end-to-end plan for you, which will make your cloud transformation journey much more seamless and much more stress-free. That is basically all I have, folks. I mean, here is my email ID and my Twitter handle. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. Tweet about stuff that we are doing in the cloud and the analytics space. And I'll be here, and I'll have also another thing in the next half, which will speak only about big data. So in between, if you have any questions on the cloud, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, that is basically it from me. Yes, sir.
So, thanks for making the entire journey of Microsoft. Myself, Chirag Kapadia, and I'm from Encode Solutions, a GNFC IT division. I'm heading IT infrastructure piece over here. See, the things which you have covered, it is it's good for ideal world, right? But when we are gathered here for the government perspective, like we have very legacy applications, we have very legacy processes. When the world is moving towards DevOps, Agile, and all, still the government applications are on very Python and C++ and very old platform, right? So the last slide which I've gone through, that you're saying that you have some kind of
the cloud accelerator.
Right.
Yes.
So how, like, the transform government services with respect to that, how Microsoft can help us, because we have our own clouds, Encode has own clouds, and we are providing service to our all departments of government. So do we have through this platform, can Microsoft tell that what is the consulting process?
Yeah, so I have my friend Sanjeev Rege answer that. I think he's the expert on this. So let me unplug and I'll help you answer.
So what we do is we engage with customers, okay, and we basically study their infrastructure. And based on that, as what Arnab was explaining, we show them the environment on what can move, what cannot move, and how or what time frame it would take to move. So the entire study is done by Microsoft team. We will come, we will assess, we will have a questionnaire, we will understand your application, because you have legacy applications, and this is no brainer, because definitely government anywhere in the country is not today running on the latest platform all the time. You will have even applications which are non-Microsoft or even older versions of Microsoft. What and how we can move it. There could be mechanisms that you might want to move lock, stock, barrel, something like an IaaS service, that you take your entire virtual machine to the cloud, or you would want to only take the data to the cloud. So the migration mechanisms would be different in different scenarios. But absolutely, as what Arnab was explaining, the CAP tool actually covers all these things, and we give a roadmap to you, saying that this is how you should be looking at. We are already doing similar exercises with a lot of other government customers, and there are customers who have already moved. Like one of the cases that Arnab was talking about was the Tamil Nadu elections. Yesterday the elections got over, okay, but fundamentally they decided, because they needed huge amount of compute, they needed huge amount of data, they were also running legacy applications. How do you move them on? It is an exercise which would take anything, I would say from 3 to 6 months period for you to move.
So you're saying that you means like
Microsoft does.
Microsoft directly or
It is
or
Microsoft.
through
So
the partner you're doing?
no, so we have both mechanisms. We have Microsoft Consulting Services, which does this directly, as well as we have certified partners who are skilled onto this job. So they become certified, and they are certified on taking it to the cloud. They would have done at least 10 implementations or 5 implementations. So the entire ownership of ensuring that the partners or the right partners are suggested is something that we own. So it is not going to be that I am going to be giving you 10 names of the partners and you go and figure it out. It is going to be a journey together. So when we are saying that it's a step that we take together with you, because at the end of the day, the application that you are moving, it's going to, whether running on Microsoft or Microsoft services, okay, is going to be our ownership equally. So that's the reason it is like that, because we have to ensure that the 99.9% uptime commitment that we are giving to you on the cloud is also maintained by us.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And another one more question, like you're saying that your hybrid framework, whatever you shown, my infra as well as cloud. So are you supporting like Microsoft Azure supporting the Citrix because it is not anywhere in your
Yes, we support Citrix. Citrix is available as a marketplace app. So we are not the vendors of Citrix. We don't really make that, but that is supported as a marketplace app. So there are actually certain apps which are not built by us. Things like Oracle, IBM, DB2. We also have those apps, but they are part of our marketplace offerings.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other question? Yeah, please.
If my primary and secondary both cloud data center on cloud, so any mock drill will perform by Microsoft, or it is on need basis by as a customer?
Sorry, if you are
Mock drill of the DR.
Yeah, mock drill of the DR. Yeah.
The question, if I've understood the question correctly, you are saying that you have your primary site, which is also on the Microsoft cloud, as well as, because the moment you have a primary site on the cloud, we automatically ensure that you have a DR. So that's not something that you have to procure it separately. Okay. The question, the point that Arnab was explaining, that if you have a site which is already on premise, that means in your office, and you want to only have a DR, in that scenario, that also service is available. But if you are running everything out of the Microsoft cloud, the DR becomes our responsibility. And the SLAs are defined based on the DR. So the entire DR will only happen provided by data centers going down. Okay, but if let's say if your application is in a high availability mode, then you practically are only doing HA. You are not doing a DR. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
See, we have a subscription as well as pay-as-you-go model. Two accounts we are maintaining. When we go for opting for subscription, we have an option in India data center which is showing normally. But when we are logging into some other account which is we are using for pay-as-you-go model, in India data center it is not opting.
Yeah, maybe the enterprise agreement needs to be looked at on how
So
you
only
are
when we are-
registered.
When we are moving for subscription, then only you are we can avail that India data center.
Not necessarily. We'll have to look at how you actually registered for that particular account. What was the address that was actually given at the time this was actually purchased, and then we can make a answer on that.
It completely depends on when you have made the purchase,
Yeah.
because the India data centers came somewhere around September 2015 in India.
Yeah.
So if you have done something before that,
Yeah.
then definitely you would be in Singapore or in another country.
Correct.
Even I have registered last 20 days back. I am
Okay.
running on site on that Azure.
Okay.
When I move, I wanted to host within India data center, but I cannot see that India data center.
So don't worry on this. What we can do is we will take that details out with you.
Okay.
Me and Balan, will work with you
Yeah.
on ensuring that you see or we move you into the India data center.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I have
that's
one-
something that we can.
So you are saying by default it is not in India. When
No,
the Indian
so-
customer by default when we are registering to the
Yes.
you, it is not by
No,
default.
as of now you can do that, but prior to the last year, before the India DCs were there, if you had actually registered at that time, it would
Then
have
you
actually registered.
No, the thing is people may not be aware that
Yes.
when they are registering. So by default when it comes request comes from India, it automatically goes to Indian DC.
Not necessarily. I'll tell you this, why it is not by default India. Because see, we are not only serving the government customers. We are serving enterprises such as, let's say, a Tata company or a Wipro or an Infosys who have the base somewhere outside also.
Correct.
Now, in that scenario, I cannot give every Indian an entity or an exit point of India. Okay, so it is something that the person has to choose,
Choose.
and
So that option should be available.
That option is available.
It is available.
We have to ask them whether we want to
So,
host.
correct. So right now, if you look at from September 2015 onwards,
Right.
that option has come in. And in India also, you have 3 data centers which comes in, which Arnab was showing you on the screen. You have to choose whether you want Mumbai, whether you want Pune, or you want Chennai. Okay, so generally what we are doing is for customers who are Western based, it would be in India, which is Mumbai based. Okay, for customers who are in Central India, they would, because of the latency and the network that we are looking at, we would prefer them to go on to Pune. And the third ones who are in South India would want to go on to the Chennai data centers. So it depends on, and all the 3 options are available today.
When you actually create a VM, when you want to store something into the Azure blob, it always gives you a drop-down window wherein you can choose which is the DC or which is the region that you want to store into, and based on what he said, it can actually route you to the appropriate, and it can actually check where you are now, and based on that, it can actually say that, is this the DC that you want to actually store your data or run your VM on? Sure.
So I'll do one thing. I'll also ask Arnab to put it on the site, on the my email address and my contact number, so that you can send me a mail if this concern is there.
Sure.
We will definitely ensure that you move into the India Data Center, because I know government has a regulation that applications
One more question.
cannot
What
be
is
outside
service?
India.
Service time. Suppose for example, so
Sorry.
normally when you take any services from any vendor,
Correct.
most important thing is service.
Correct.
In case of any failure, say for example, Arnav already explained they have a robust system. But in case of any something problem with that, so how much time will it take to resolve this? Normally, how much time?
So let me put it this way. When I give you an SLA of 99.9%, I am talking about an 8 minutes of downtime in an entire year.
I'm not talking downtime. Anything, suppose for technical thing happens to the customer, maybe customer are not very literate in computer field. They are not. Say for example, any problem in
I think you're talking
network.
about support. See, so
Yeah, support,
one thing
yeah.
that is disaster and one thing is support.
I
So
know.
we have a separate support, support contract, and the type of support contract that you sign would actually entitle you to that support,
That is a real challenge nowadays. So you people are having so many support parameters. You have to support, for example, today I support take that particular initial level of support. If anything happens, then you'll ask, no, this support is not signed by you, so you cannot support that. That situation comes nowadays.
So one of the reasons why we are probably here and having a conversation is that we want also Microsoft to be engaged. See, many of the times also what happens is, sir, is that you talk to a particular partner who doesn't tell you what are the options available, what would be the best option commercially as well as technically. Okay. Now, one of the things why, and specifically why I asked Arnab to put my email address, is that as a regional head, it is my responsibility and my team that's sitting here to ensure that we engage with you directly, give you the advice, and then you might want to choose whatever partner that you have chosen to take that particular application. Now, if that interactions don't happen, okay, it would not be possible. You would never come to know whether Microsoft is giving. I'll give you a very simple example. Many of the times, customer, when they buy a particular product, whether it's on premise and especially I'll say, they said we don't need a support. Why? Because I can raise an online ticket. Now online ticket is a pure professional support that's available, in which somebody will be sitting at the back end answering those questions, and they don't have an SLA defined. Okay, I'll be very upfront over here. Okay, that's called as the professional support. Now then there's something called as the premier support, which Microsoft guys directly come. Giving an example, today in government of Gujarat, for the entire state data center applications, Microsoft and application across the country, I'll say across the state, Microsoft has got a contract with government of Gujarat Department of Science and Technology, where I say that I will support it, regardless whether a Swagat application goes down, or a PDS goes down, or an FCS goes down, or a home department application goes down. If it is running on a Microsoft platform, it becomes my ownership. And this is the Microsoft guys directly doing it. So there is a difference in, because now what we are telling the government and what we are telling the state of science and technology department is, you take support once, don't ask me to sell the support to 20 people, or don't ask me to tell this to 20 people, but you propagate that. Now it's been for a year that the support exists in Department of Science and Technology. So I agree that it is equally our responsibility to make that propaganda saying that there is support available. If you have a question, please go to Science and Technology. There are DCO registered members who can actually raise it to Microsoft. But the organization in the state is so huge, it becomes difficult for me to go to a Rajkot or to a any other state, any other city, and tell people. Or like when I was talking to Vadodara, when I was there in Vadodara, we had the same issue. They said support नहीं है. मैंने कहा आपका application कहाँ रन कर रहा है? SDC में. मैंने तो support तो वहीं है. तो आप यहाँ क्यों घूम रहे हैं? Now that's something that we have been asking the DST to at least make it available on the intranet, a number, an email address, so that people can reach out. Yeah, you had a question. Does that answer your question?
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
See, we have hosted one of the application in IaaS model, Infrastructure as a Service.
Okay.
So at last moment, we would like to host in PaaS model, Platform as a Service.
Okay.
So that time, like when we are moving our service to IaaS to PaaS, we have faced much issues because there were lot many dependencies, library applications, and lot many DLL files are missing. So if you could focus on this issue to solve.
See, PaaS-based services are typically actually depends on what is the exact business scenario that you have. We have got PaaS-based services for big data, for CRM, for O365, for moving data from point A to point B. So if you can actually give us more details on what is the exact application you are trying to move, then we can actually look into it. Because typically, if it is on the .NET stack, then there should not be so many dependencies if you are trying to migrate it from an IaaS to PaaS, right?
It's a .NET.
That is what my question
Okay,
is.
so I'll answer one more point, and probably I'll add up what he's explaining. See, what you are trying to do, and let me make it very, very clear here. What generally people try to do is, I have an on-premise application. I want to take it to a PaaS model. Okay. Now, fundamentally, that applications, because if you look at the cloud infrastructure that we had, and even whether the number of data centers under that particular container that you have, the servers that you have, is humongous. That means I need something that is multi-tenant. What I mean by multi-tenant is that if particular application goes down, the second application should be out. That particular application should run smoothly. Okay. Now, predominantly, the way the development has started in the country or across the world has been that we have built up silos with high availability. That means we would have done some clustering, max to max. Okay, we saying that okay fine, ye server gaya, ye server up hua, kind of mechanism. Now when I am talking about multi-tenant environment, the multi-tenant environment is very, very different. That means it's something like Hotmail running. It regardless of what the backend application is, when my websites are running, my websites could be running in a multiple servers environment. Now, if the application developer at that time has not taken that into consideration, then you get into these kind of challenges. So what also